I recall is several people using the word Roswell, and that must be where the crash occurred then, and then they brought them to the other place. It looked like at an airport facility where there was like a rather good-sized building, a hangar, where they had the spaceship and where they had the bodies.
Was it an intact ship?
No, it was badly damaged.
Can you describe what it looked like? Did you touch these?
Yeah, they didn't let me do that, but the other people were permitted to do that because they were very curious about knowing what kind of materials they were. The body of the ship was what I would call today rather a reflective material, but when you looked at it and you were close to it, it was rather dull. So it had to be energetically reflective or translucent or glowing. And it was disc-shaped.
Strange would be one description for this planet. What flies on our horizon is perhaps even stranger than Earth itself. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Strange Horizon, a brand new show focused on the mysterious happenings of this world, especially the mysteries surrounding the topic of extraterrestrials and UFOs, or as some prefer to call it, UAVs. Now, if you've been following my other show, Second Earth, you can think of this as a souped-up spin-off of that show, and I will need your help to grow, so if you end up enjoying this episode, I will be leaving a channel subscription link in the description, and though I'm publishing this episode on this particular Second Earth channel, our second episode will likely be in our brand new channel, so don't miss the chance to get notified. Now, today I want to start off with an interesting news article by The Sun that has jaw-dropping implications if true. ET equals MC squared. Einstein studied Roswell crash UFO and corpses of 5 aliens, claims assistant who details exactly what they look like. Albert Einstein was given a guided tour of a flying saucer after it crashed Roswell, it has been claimed. The iconic physicist, famed for his E equals MC squared formula on mass and energy, also got to see an alien autopsy, according to his former assistant. Now, I don't want to bore you by just reading this entire article verbatim, so to quickly sum it up, it has been alleged that tapes were discovered from a 1993 interview between Shirley Franklin and Einstein's former assistant, Dr. Shirley Wright. Dr. Wright, in a stunning confession, claimed that Einstein, her former mentor, had been taken to the Roswell crash. According to her, Einstein was calm and didn't really seem perturbed by the encounter, and not only did he examine the crashed saucer, which was still partially intact, he was also shown 5 alien bodies, one which was still barely alive, but for reasons still unknown, it was not capable of communicating cogently. It was just apparently making gurgling noises, according to Dr. Wright's description. Now, you do have to wonder if it just chose to be silent like a Soviet spy being interrogated during the Cold War, or whether the poor thing was simply injured and just wasn't able to talk or communicate. Dr. Wright even went so far as to describe the beings around 5 foot tall, without hair, with big heads and enormous dark eyes, and their skin was gray with a slight greenish tint. That's pretty interesting, because I guess the 1950s sci-fi interpretation of Little Green Man wasn't so far-fetched after all. Except for I would be hard-pressed to call them men, because according to Dr. Wright, they had no genitalia. Now, I'm not sure which one I feel worse about, them having crashed or the fact that they have a lack of appendages. But in all seriousness, what I found to be incredible was the description of these beings having tight suits. Now, one case in particular that rung to mind was the Zimbabwe school children incident where during recess, 60 kids claimed to have seen a UFO land and apparently saw beings who exited the craft and communicated telepathically to the kids. Now, the description of the beings was that they were gray, small, hairless, huge eyes, and they were wearing tight-fitting suits. Now, unless Dr. Wright was familiar with that particular incident and in the dawn of her life decided to pull a ridiculous prank, the similarities are just too incredible to just ignore. And let me add that the Zimbabwe school children not only were analyzed by psychologists who validated their truthfulness, but also considered that these kids are now all adults, and not one of them has changed their story. Maybe they should talk to Bob Lazar. Now, one other interesting coincidence that seems to be connected to all of this is the fact that alien abductees discuss being taken to a white room with other humans sitting in these chairs with teleprompters that apparently showed images of Earth that were slowly, progressively degrading. And they were told at the end of the images that we are killing our planet. Now, what was the message that those aliens told the kids telepathically? You're killing the planet. Now, I was a little surprised when I heard that there were 5 alien bodies, because according to a May 2021 Space.com article called Roswell UFO Crash, What is the Truth Behind the Flying Saucer Incident? Glenn Dennis called a hotline shortly after an episode of Unsolved Mysteries featuring the Roswell incident aired in 1989, and he suggested that a friend who had worked as a nurse at the Roswell Army Airfield saw 3 alien bodies. Now, of course, a call to Unsolved Mysteries is not the most trustworthy source, but I just wanted to point out that traditionally, many ufologists had assumed it had been 3 bodies rather than 5. So, one of the big questions is it even feasible that Einstein could have worked in top secret US government projects? This is actually very interesting because I have a file that I discovered on the CIA website that essentially says the CIA had sponsored a panel in 1953 called the Robertson's panel that was tasked with studying the wave of UFOs that flew over the White House in 1952. Now, if you're unfamiliar with that case, I can promise you I did not stumble on my words when I implied that aliens were taking a sightseeing field trip over our capital. So I had to transcribe 57 pages, but on page 11, I found this particular quote. We are most anxious that further publicity not be given to the information that the panel was sponsored by the Central Intelligence Agency. Have you ever heard of the ridiculous swamp gas theory, implying that farts from the swamplands could account for all the UFO and abduction-related descriptions? Well, it's this Robertson panel that eventually became Project Bluebook that was responsible for that ridiculous swamp gas theory. Most shocking, though, was when I started looking for documents and images related to the Robertson panel. Now, the documents were hard to come by. The images were even fewer and far in between. But there was one image that I saw that completely knocked me out of my chair. Ladies and gentlemen, I present you none other than Albert Einstein himself. There have been some websites that have claimed that he was part of this panel, but to be honest, I have yet to find an official document that asserts this and actually proves this. But if this image can be deemed as real, well, it sure makes the idea of Einstein visiting Roswell seem a lot more plausible. So for this brand new show, I've decided to add a segment called What in the World?, which is basically a reaction take of interesting and funny UFO related videos on YouTube. So if you're down to check it out, let's teleport away right now. All right, so we're about to take a look at some interesting YouTube videos on the topic of UFOs, a little bit more offbeat. Some of them are kind of funny, some of them are strange. One of them today is actually kind of political, but I'm gonna go ahead and just push play and just kind of go with it. This first one, it's called Chris Colfer has an unbelievable UFO sighting, and it's happening at the Jimmy Fallon show, as you can see.
But yeah, so I'm a huge alien, paranormal conspiracist. That's like my hobby. It's like I love that more than anything else in the world. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I don't know if you've seen him before. He's that guy from, or I think one of his characters was in the show Glee.
And I was in the middle of Hollywood, and I was walking down Santa Monica Boulevard.
Nighttime, daytime?
Daytime, middle of the day.
Daytime UFO?
Daytime UFO, yeah. So I just saw this thing hovering in the sky, and I remember looking up thinking, like, this can't be real. Like I want this too much, you know?
Yeah.
You know?
This is a UFO. So say that's you.
Yeah, so it was just, okay, I'm trying to do this, this is gonna look phallic.
Oh, God, okay. All right. So they're going there, but it's interesting because he saw a UFO in Santa Monica Boulevard in daytime. And, you know, I was working at a photo studio in Los Angeles, not that far away from Santa Monica Boulevard. And one of my coworkers never believed in UFOs. And I swear to God, one day we're out there. This is when I used to smoke cigarettes, but I was smoking cigarettes. And then I swear to God, I look up and I see 2 little spheres surrounding each other. It was just like they were spinning on each other. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. It's just true spheres that were spinning on each other. And I called my coworker over, the non-believer, so to speak. And then it took a while to see because it was like really far up. And then eventually she's just like, oh my God. Oh my God. And she just flipped out. Like, I'm not kidding. That was the first time that I kind of converted a non-believer into a believer, but it required an actual UFO in this case. Sorry, I was losing my voice there for a second. All right, let's continue.
Yes,
Yeah, it says that.
Am I turning you on?
Yeah. Wait, so it's not this way.
It was not this way. No, it was.
Sorry, get your mind.
It was happy to see me.
That's so
We're
ridiculous.
talking about UFOs here.
Yeah.
So it's like almost missile-like.
It wasn't a balloon because it was very bottom heavy, like myself. And so.
Give me that.
So anyway, but yeah. So I caught a video of it, and yeah, I think we have it.
Chris brought the video. This is unbelievable. This is real footage of Chris Colfer's UFO sighting. Take a look at this. I see it.
There it is.
Wait, I see this.
I mean,
That's kind of weird. I mean, it kind of looks like a balloon, but then I don't know what that thing is on top. If this is a balloon, I don't know. I don't know. Do you think that's a cylinder UFO? Like,
very creepy. Yeah. So I think, yeah. So, thank you.
Yeah, that's wild that you saw it and you're like, wait, and you thought not to bring your phone out.
Right. And I sent it to everyone I knew, and like you would have thought I won like a Pulitzer because everyone was like, "Oh, Chris, congratulations! You've been working for this for so long."
It finally happened.
Go! God has a plan. God has a plan.
God has a plan, and I believe it. I believe it's a UFO.
I somehow I doubt that he actually believes it's a UFO. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that was a balloon or something more extraordinary? Okay, so I'm just gonna move on to the next video. This one is with Joe Biden being asked about UFOs. So let's take a look.
President Obama says that there is footage.
Why is he laughing?
Records of objects in the skies, these unidentified aerial phenomenon. And he says we don't know exactly what they are. What do you think that it is?
I would ask him again. Thank you.
Okay. First of all, what kind of answer is that? I would ask him again. You know what it sounds like? It sounds like one of those mafia guys who, maybe little Joey spoke too much about, there being a mafia business in their pizza parlor or whatever. And then suddenly the big mafioso guy slaps Joey around, maybe pistol whips him, threatens his life. And then the investigators come back and ask the mafioso guy. And he's like, well, ask Joey again. Ask him again. Let's see what he's going to say, huh? That's what it sounds like. And why is everybody laughing? Look at this.
Come on, boys, let's go.
Come on, boys. What are they clapping about? Joe Biden has to do absolutely nothing to get those claps. I just thought it was weird video. Anyways, that is my 2 videos of the day. Hope you enjoyed that. All right, well, let's get back to the show. Lastly, I wanted to finish this episode with a remote viewing challenge. Now, if you've never heard of remote viewing, it's basically a protocol that was established by the Stargate project, where the CIA had essentially hired psychics to try to find different sites, like missile sites and different locations. So they actually created a protocol that allows people to apparently see things that are beyond their eyes. Like, think of it as your consciousness, essentially going into the ether and scanning the universe for certain locations, items, even sometimes go backwards in time. It's really interesting. It's a paranormal ability that was established by the government, the protocol of remote viewing. So I'm going to post an image, a digital image, and I'm going to attach a code to it. And if somebody gets it, well, that winner is going to get a huge shout out and will have their names immortalized in the wall of gifted viewers. And in the near future, I will be adding prizes as well. So if you've never remote viewed, there are many, just Google it. There are many sites dedicated to teaching you how to do it. But if you want to know how I personally do it myself, just shoot me an email at eafiles.contact@gmail.com and I can share you the protocol that has worked for me personally. Now, unfortunately, we didn't have a winner in our last episode, but let me say that in our previous show, we've had double winners, and actually one guy won it 3 different times. Now think about it. Out of all the things that I could pick in the entire world, he somehow guessed it correctly 3 different times. Why don't you just play the lottery instead? It'd be a lot easier. And if you're curious how I pick these images, well, I'm actually using a random image generator. So the new code for our upcoming RV challenge is QXS7392HK. And to participate, just make sure you write RV column and your guess on the comment section. Or maybe it's not a guess. I don't know. But you're also welcome to email me if you prefer confidentiality. Also, if you have any footage, images, or abduction stories you would like to share, please reach out in the same email, eafiles.contact@gmail.com. Our next episode is going to be pretty cool. A viewer ended up sending me a couple cell phone videos of what initially appeared to just be specks in the sky, but it was captured in 4K, and when I enhanced it, used all the enhancing techniques I knew, well, what I saw was nothing short of remarkable. So please stay tuned for the next episode, and if you want to be notified of that upcoming episode, I highly encourage you to subscribe with the link below. And to be truthful, I'm not going to be able to build this new show without your help, so my goal is basically to get to 1,000 subscribers as fast as possible, and if you do like this episode, I would be really grateful for your help. Thank you so much for watching our first episode of Strange Horizon. This is Felipe speaking, signing out.